CaptainTwig, aka Benjamin Knight. Thank you for joining me on the SMITE Memoir video. Tell the fans at home about this game and why you chose it.
So I chose this game because it was the game we had to win to go to Worlds, to qualify to World Championships. It was pretty scary going in. We knew Mouse could beat us. We knew Mouse had a lot of strats up their sleeve. We just lost game 2 off against Frosty's Susanoo, I believe. It was a bad loss, and we just needed to win this to make it to Worlds. And this game for me, it was big, and it was a pivotal game of my career, I'd say, because the whole of season 5 I was trying to become a good adaptive player. I don't have to play setup, I don't have to play any specific style, and I definitely felt the best pick for me this game was carry. It's a full one-shot assassin like Daji, and season 5 I spent pretty much the entire year trying to be good at everything, trying to be good at the support and trying to be good at the carry. And for me to qualify to Worlds, having a good game with Daji just meant a big deal for me.
Before we really dig deep into this game, or picks and bans, I gotta ask you, now that you're in Rival, do you miss anyone specifically from your old Obey Alliance team?
Specifically, I miss Prime the most. He was an amazing player to play with. Whenever we were losing a scrim behind, making lots of mistakes, he'd just make it feel okay, and he'd get us kind of all mentally back in the game. And in terms of learning and practice, that's huge. But in terms of just winning the game and being behind and being okay with it, it was just a huge thing. And he was just a great friend too. Probably one of my best friends, I'd say, over the years of playing with him.
Glad to hear it. Going back into this game, you said you were coming off of a Game 2 loss against Mouse. What are some of the adjustments you guys had to make going into Game 3?
So the plan was, Frostiak even is a very volatile player. He has games where he kind of carries the whole game by himself, and it doesn't look like his team had to do much more than support him and play around him. And there's games where he'll kind of just lose the game on his own, as bad as that sounds. Some games he just doesn't have everything popping for him. Things don't go his way. And so we banned out Susanoo and Fenrir. Fenrir, he played in the jungle already at that tournament. And Susanoo's his original character that he kind of, the combo he does is called the Frosty combo with Susanoo, and it's just his signature god, basically.
Is that like a Wendy's Frosty? What kind of Frosty? But anyway, for picks and bans, did you guys get everything that you wanted, or were you worried about anything that Mouse had in this specific game?
I was a little bit worried that the Daji pick wouldn't pan out. They picked Geb to kind of counter pick it for the shields, and I wasn't super confident that I could even play the carry style jungle perfectly. So I was, everything else we had, Nate was a beast on Chiron, we had Rafa on his signature Athena, we were ready to win the game. I was just kind of apprehensive that the Daji pick wouldn't pan out.
So going into the game, speaking of Nate and his Chiron, he did a lot of work in this early scuffle in the duo lane, and looking at it from his perspective, he did about 95% of this damage onto Cherio and also onto Dardes, and then you kind of swoop in here. Okay,
so what's going on right now is I'm calling them that it's okay. Just leave the Freya, I've got him. And I mean, Nate's trying to take the kill. I don't know what's going on there, but I had him the whole time from 100%.
It's calculated.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, realistically though, for SPL caliber teams such as yourselves in Obey Alliance, would you rather have had it onto yourself, the Daji jungle, or a Chiron that's trying to rush a Transcendence?
I think it's definitely, objectively, it probably helps me a little bit more than the Chiron. The Chiron definitely would have had an advantage, but since the Freya just died anyway in lane, as the first blood, Nate would have been ahead kind of anyway. As a jungler, when you gank, it kind of sucks because you're not farming when you gank. You give up like doing camps and sharing waves to gank. So it does suck if you don't get the kill. So I'd say, like, objectively speaking, it normally is best for your jungler to get the first blood.
Spoken like a true jungler. I wanted to talk about this next team fight though, very early on, right here. I wanted to talk about your patience specifically. How do you take an approach to these kinds of team fights?
So I think the main thing with playing like an assassin is to let yourself not be the focus. Don't let yourself be looked at before the fight, and you'll do a lot of work. Rafa is specifically very good at playing with that kind of play style because he loves to take all the damage for himself, and he loves to be the main aim to be the kill potential for them. And he didn't even close to die either. He just did a really good job of making everyone look at him and making it a really bad fight for Mouse. So shout outs to him for that fight, but basically they didn't look at me once, so I could kill everyone.
So after the dust settles with Tings and Cherio dying, Frostiak was kind of hiding here at the Oracle side. Did you even know he was here the whole time?
I had no idea. I thought Circuit might be around, but to go invisible behind the Oracles after a like horribly lost fight is such a Frostiak thing to do. Like, he is the hype jungle himself, and maybe on a good day he comes out with a kill on me and gets out. But that game wasn't his game.
Did he give you a little bit of a scare?
Yeah, he did. I almost had a panic attack when he came out of invisibility and went on me at Oracles.
So this next team fight, a little bit of kills here and there, but the next big objective team fight was around this mid lane where you're kind of waiting for Cherio. Explain the thought process.
So I pressed tab, I saw Cherio had full magic defense built, so I thought I had a lot of damage on him. I do some damage to him, but I also take a lot of damage during it. So I was really worried when I was in the air, knowing that Circuit could just run me down and ult me. I don't think I fully understood that Rafa could just shell me, so I probably should have ran straight to the mid tower there. But thank goodness Rafa was on the ball and could shell me in time, because I was dead without it. It
also looked like, yeah, he got there just in the nick of time. Great synergy between you and Rafa. Mm-hmm. This next team fight, around 1804, for whatever reason, Dardas is on the left side of the map, farming. I guess he was not expecting all you guys to be in mid, and you guys take full advantage.
Yeah. So I think Dardas was behind, so I think he just wanted to sit in lane and farm for a little bit longer. It was a great time for us to push the tower down in mid. Rafa and Zalia definitely go insanely deep, but they're far ahead as tanks at that point. And so even Zalia getting low there kind of baited Frostiak to overextend, and I caught the Circuit ult, but that was fine. We still got the kill, and basically it was just a well-called fight. I think you could attribute that to Nate. He probably called to push the mid tower down.
Now, who made this call specifically for the Fire Giants?
When we get picks or win a fight hard, it's usually Nate that calls the objectives. If not, it was probably a mutual decision between all of us. But it's so easy with Athena to just bait objectives and pick up kills like over and over again, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, Dardas and Tings trying to poke their heads where it didn't belong. You guys get a free Fire Giant. And at this point in the game, after you get these 2 picks, after you get Fire Giant, do you feel like this game is already over almost?
We can definitely feel it in the game that with Fire Giant at this early in the game, with a little bit of a snowball, we can definitely feel like the energy and the adrenaline coming to us, like we can make it to Worlds. But we definitely, I wouldn't say got overexcited. We definitely played the best game we could, and we knew that they could come back into it with the Geb late game, that they could still make it back in.
I wanted to ask your idea for the height of the Urchin that you picked up after Transcendence, Boots, and Crusher.
So my philosophy from being ahead in SMITE is to build defense when you've got enough damage anyway. That means that you can't even really mess up too badly, because even if you're slightly out of position, then you won't get bursted down very quickly. So I'm a big fan of going defense when you're really far ahead, because it just makes it so that you can't lose almost.
Makes sense. So with this Fire Giant Siege, on the right side, Phoenix, you guys are able to really flex your guns on them. When you're approaching this right side, Phoenix, is there a game plan beforehand, or are you just kind of feeling it out as it goes along?
Definitely a bit of both. I know Prime's just looking for strifes and poke that he can get, but with Rafa on Athena and Nate on Chiron, he was definitely going to look to cleanse Athena if she gets engaged on, but Athena can just look for taunts on whoever. It was hard because of the Geb shield, but Zalia would find an opportunity off the taunt to go in and get a lot of damage off, and I could just follow that.
And a very sick double strike from Pretty Prime to start off this engagement. And as this team fight kind of progresses forward, you guys do get a deicide, but it was very staggered. And as we kind of get towards the end of this team fight, looking back at it, do you think you could have ended, or do you think like it would have been too close?
I think it would definitely be close. Maybe we even called to end until it took us a little bit longer than we expected to do the Phoenix. We didn't have Fire Giant, so we didn't have a lot of regen, and Nate was dead, who was the main Titan damage. In a scrim, I think it's fair to say we could definitely have looked to end the game there. But in a match, the philosophy should always be to play it safe.
Especially your Worlds qualifying match. You leave no mistakes here when everything's on the line. So then your next siege, after you guys get another Fire Giants, in the middle Phoenix, you specifically have a little bit of a standoff with Frostiak.
Yep, so I'm trying to avoid the Circuit 2 here. I'm very far ahead of her, so I know that I can just kind of destroy her with my burst. I almost two-shot her with my 1 and my 3 there. Try to get her to back off. I don't need to commit for the kill because the Phoenix is the objective here. And my ult's super valuable, as you can see here, where Frostiak he kind of gets one shot all over again. I kind of killed him twice. And it's almost game from there. When you don't have an assassin, it's hard to come back.
So during the 1v1, during this team fight, you're cool as a cucumber looking at your player cam on the bottom left side. But when the game actually ends and you qualify to Worlds, you specifically are popping off here. Do you remember at all what you said?
I probably remember saying, "Let's go," really loudly. I clapped, I was happy, I was super pleased that we got to Worlds with Prime, who we hadn't played a lot with in the scrims leading up to this tournament since he had the birth of his baby and to catch, and we weren't sure if we were going to play with him. So I was super happy that we made it. I really believed we could win Worlds. It was a great individual game for me, but more importantly, we'd made it as the team, and I really believed in us at the time. So I just remember being super ecstatic.
Now, after this set of Mouse qualifying to Worlds, now you're battling for the #1 seed up against Rival, where you guys actually won that best of 3. Explain that set. How did that feel?
So the matches against Rival were interesting since the first couple of games, I'm not sure if either of us were picking our best or trying particularly hard. We were trying not to show strats. We were still trying to win, but the loser would play energy with a sub. I think it was Homifei who played, and we knew that wouldn't be an insanely hard bracket either. So I don't think we were playing for the bracket so much as we were playing for kind of bragging rights. And by game 3, I think it got pretty competitive towards the end, where both teams were really trying to win. And I'm glad that we could come out just ahead, even though neither team was picking their 100% best, I think, trying to save their strats.
Thank you again, CaptainTwig, for your time here with SMITE Memoirs. Before we end this video, is there any shout-outs you want to give? And also, tell the fans at home where they can find you.
So just shout out to the Oldo Bay team. I loved them all. They were super fun to play with, and I'll miss them forever. And but you can find me at CaptainTwig on Twitter or twitch.tv/CaptainTwiggy. So yeah.
Thank you again, CaptainTwig.
Thank you.